Hey everyone, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I'm asking probably one of the most interesting questions that I've asked in quite some time, and this just kind of blew me away. But should artificial intelligence be considered an inventor? Now, here's what's going on, and I've got some very interesting news once I get through all of this, but this is just beyond fascinating. This is coming from Vice News. Now, a computer scientist, Dr. Stephen Thaler, who created an artificial intelligence system capable of generating original inventions, is actually suing the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office over its decision earlier this year to reject two patent applications which list an algorithmic system known as DABUS, and I'm assuming I am pronouncing that correctly, as the inventor. Now, the lawsuit is the latest step by Dr. Thaler and an international group of lawyers and academics to win inventorship rights for non-human AI systems. Basically, this is a prospect that really opens up fundamental questions about what it means to be creative. It also has a lot of just major implications for certain industries and corporations. Now, here's the background in this. In July of 2019, Dr. Thaler filed two patent applications in the United States. One for an adjustable food container and the other for an emergency beacon, and basically listed the inventor as DABUS. Now, he describes DABUS as, and I quote, a creativity engine, end quote, composed of neural networks trained on basically a broad swath of data and not designed to solve any particular problem. In other words, it's trying to be creative. Now, the patent office rejected the applications, citing court decisions ruling that corporations, as opposed to individuals within a corporation, cannot be legal inventors, and thus asserted that, and I quote, conception, the touchstone of inventorship, must be performed by a natural person. Obviously, an artificial intelligence at the moment is not a natural person. It's not a biomechanical machine like we are. And so here we are. Now, British, German, and European patent regulators have also rejected the applications that were made by Dr. Thaler and his team, and these decisions are being appealed. Petitions for DABUS invented patents are also still pending at the moment in China, Japan, India, and several other countries. So they've been very busy trying to push this through. This could be a new frontier of digital data rights as well for artificial intelligence. I think that's fascinating as well. Now, the outcome of the debate over AI's inventorship and other intellectual property rights basically could have major consequences, especially in creative industries. So, for example, in September 2019, the World Intellectual Property Organization, which is a United Nations agency that influences binding international treaties, began soliciting comments on a proposed framework for intellectual property law and artificial intelligence. Among the respondents most concerned about the future of intellectual property law, or IP law, in the context of AI, were media organizations like Getty Images and the New Media Alliance, both of whom warned that AI systems are already drawing on copyrighted material without the appropriate permissions and using it to generate images or news articles and basically pass them off as original. So in other words, Getty Images, for example, like if an artificial intelligence were to take a picture of me, then it could possibly make something unique that wasn't quite Nick Espinoza, and by virtue of that, it's original, even though, let's say, my original photo is me. So that is, I think, part of their argument. And so Getty Images wrote in their argument, and I quote, "Such tools are not capable of true independent creativity. In order for AI tools to create new work, prior creative work must be used as training data. The current lack of official intellectual property guidance has already resulted in the creation of AI tools that have violated privacy and intellectual property rights internationally." I think that's very interesting, especially when it comes to things like deep fake technology that are using, let's say, existing likenesses, like, let's say, Vice President or former Vice President and candidate Joe Biden, or President Trump, especially in the 2020 election. But a Chinese court recently ruled that an AI-generated article or AI-generated articles made possible only because of copyrighted human-produced content can be protected by their own copyright, which is actually very interesting because we may be seeing intellectual property and copyright precedents being set in courts in China, which is obviously a much different system of government than many other places in the world. So I think this is very interesting. I have an absolute ton of thoughts on this. I would love to hear your thoughts on my questions and everything that I've brought up, but I think this touches on not just the technology behind it, but also the logistics of patents and the legality of having an artificial intelligence inventor, but also the philosophy of this in the sense that if somebody has created an artificial intelligence, is that artificial intelligence by definition of how it's trained wholly unique? In which case, if I have a child and I train that child, let's say from birth to age 18, on what I believe the frameworks that I give it, whether it's religion or government or other concepts and all of that, is that therefore that offspring fully unique and capable in going in different directions in the same way that an AI that has been invented can't necessarily sit in that framework because it's been created literally not to solve anything, but just to generate new concepts. This is a very fascinating thing. And the reason why I'm not giving you my opinions is because I personally reached out to Dr. Thaler, and I have just recently been talking with him, and I'm hoping to set up an interview with him on my nationally syndicated radio show, as well as on this video and podcast that you are watching and listening now. And I think that conversation is going to blow everybody's mind. And so I'm very hoping or very hopeful that that will get solidified and we will go from there. But hopefully you'll be hearing a lot more on this soon, because this has the potential to be a massive paradigm shift in the legal landscape, not to mention philosophy and technology. And I think most of you are probably going to hear this here first, but I think the world needs to talk about this. So that is your news / just something beyond interesting item of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well, where I hope the AI points you at my direction. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.